Hi, it's Kiffin LeBates here. Today I thought I'd talk a bit about a compare and contrast between pro se inventors and qualified patent attorneys. So a patent attorney is someone who's done a STEM degree and then gone on to do a law degree and passed the bar and the patent exam. This is in America how it works. And then they are licensed to draft, prosecute, and do other legal stuff relating to patents. Whereas pro se inventor is what the US Patent Office calls an inventor who represents themselves. Now, in the court system, in the criminal court system, if you cannot afford a lawyer, then the court will appoint a state one for you. But in the patent world that doesn't happen, which means that they have to still allow people the right to represent themselves, because prosecuting a patent is the term that's used. That is the process of arguing with the patent examiner legally in order to hopefully finally get your patent application granted as a bona fide patent. Now, of course, that means there isn't really a level playing field, because a patent attorney has spent years studying in order to qualify in that field, whereas a pro se inventor like myself has to educate themselves, and it can't be a full-time job. So drafting patents is actually not too hard, because there are plenty of examples out there where you can go and look at an invention that's similar to the one that you have, read various patent applications that have been drafted by professionals. There are plenty of articles explaining the meaning of various terms that are used in patents. So it's actually not that hard to pick up how to draft a patent. However, prosecuting a patent is a totally different beast, because then you're actually engaged in a legal debate with a qualified legal person, a patent examiner. And it's harder to actually find a prosecution case that matches the particular situation that you find yourself in when you're talking to a patent examiner. And it's also harder to search, because there isn't a Google Patents for the actual patent prosecution case. You have to go to the USPTO database, and to be frank, it's a bit clunky and 15 years ago kind of tech. So although I do believe they spent billions on it, or at least hundreds of millions. Anyway, however, there is one area in which the pro se inventor has an advantage over a patent attorney, and it's a big one, because as the inventor of your invention, and as the person who studied the field, is an expert in it, has had the novel idea or the non-obvious idea, you have an advantage over a patent attorney, because they tend to focus, when it comes to the prosecution, when it comes to rebutting the arguments of an examiner as to why the application should not be granted, and this is called traversing in the terminology of this area. Patent attorneys tend to focus on the legal arguments. They tend to look at case history and then try and find an argument that overcomes the examiner's rejection on a legal basis. Whereas as a pro se inventor, it's pretty much guaranteed that you are by far the expert on the particular technological area that is being dealt with, whereas the examiner will have some understanding of what's going on, but it will not nearly be as in-depth as yours. And as a result, you have the opportunity to make an engineering or technological argument against the examiner's rejection. And I think those can be pretty powerful. And there's the added advantage that when you get a patent granted based on arguments on technology, by saying, for example, that the examiner is wrong in considering your invention non-obvious because it's a combination of A, B, and C, you can come back and say, but my invention is X and Y, and X doesn't correspond to A, and Y doesn't correspond to B, and give an explanation from a technological point why that is the case. If you then get a patent granted, then that patent should, as far as I can tell, be much stronger, because it's actually based on the substantive content of the patent rather than a bunch of legal arguments. Anyway, yet again, this video has gone on longer than I intended, but I hope you found it interesting. And if you're a pro se inventor, do get in touch. I'd like to see what your experiences in this field are. I personally found it very interesting and actually surprisingly entertaining. Bye for now.